15,000 to 30,000 years ago was the last ice age, the Dimensian, and this area where we are now would have been a tundral grass landscape, probably a feeding ground for mammoths, which were found 15,000 years ago in a cattle pit in Staffordshire, so not that far away. Too cold for any humans to live here. They all went off to the south of France to keep warm, but about 14,500 years ago it got warmer, and hunter-gatherer groups started to come back from mainland Europe across Doggerland, possibly via Norfolk, for two reasons. Firstly, they were hunting game, which would be deer and horse, large game, and also they were after their lifeblood, which is flint. This is what they needed to make their tools for hunting the animals, processing the animals, and so forth. The reason why we know they came here in particular was that on the rocky escarpment behind, in 2001 flints started eroding through, and these would have been human work flints, rather like this.
Flints were being eroded out of a path. Just where that large rock is in the distance there, it was recognised as something rather special. There were indications that it was Upper Paleolithic. We even had a specific type of projectile point, a cheddar point, that was very specific to one part of the Upper Paleolithic, late Upper Paleolithic, sometimes known as Creswellian, after the Creswell Crags sites on the Nottinghamshire-Derbyshire border. It wasn't until 2013 when there was really a change in management with the park. They were looking at all the heritage and the natural heritage and the archaeological, historical heritage of the whole park, and at the time University of Leicester were brought in to help formulate this management plan. Now, top of the list straight away was the Upper Paleolithic site, because it was a site of national significance and only joined two or three other open air sites that we've got from the country, the other 20-30 sites all being cave sites.
In 2015, the University of Leicester excavated the site and found a whole range of flint implements.
We found a very small but concentrated scatter of worked flints. These had indications that they were more or less being found where they'd been dropped during the occupation of the campsite by a small group of hunter-gatherers. We've got something like 7,000 pieces of worked flint that are over 10 millimetres in size, and another 5,000 pieces which are a little bit smaller. And the analysis we've done so far is showing that there's a spatial pattern to the site. There was an indication of where there'd been a former hearth, and lots of activity around this hearth. And we think there's certainly a major part of the site was antler and bone processing. Knapping of flint, producing flint blades, and from these flint blades making a number of different tool types. Scrapers, used for preparing hides. They go off quite quickly, so it's very important to clean your hides if you're in a hunting group. They're a very valuable resource. So we know that activity is going on there. So we've got the bone antler working, hide processing. We've also got plenty of these small projectile points. These are thought to have been tips for spears being or darts being propelled with a atlatl spear thrower. So we envisage that we've got hunters coming away from the site, hunting, butchering, going back to the site, replenishing their slightly broken toolkits, so taking out impact damaged lithic tips, replacing them with new ones. We've got certain activities occurring on that campsite, but those activities perhaps not including the initial butchery of animals.
You could have almost predicted there might have been a site here, in the sense that it's a perfect setting. You've got a gorge, and on the right of the gorge at the end of it you have a location which would have been a perfect hunting location. And I think the big question is now is whether the area of occupation and activity extended out into this flatter area below the end of the gorge.
That brings us to what we're doing here. The area we're standing on, all this flat ground, is mapped by the British Geological Survey as a late glacial river terrace. The hypothesis we're working with is that this has been a fairly stable surface, and so there's the opportunity to go and prospect for late Upper Paleolithic sites. We don't know where they are, which is why we're doing the test pit survey. 20-metre intervals. We've got our east-west transect, which we did last week. We did 10 test pits there, fully down to 50 centimetres or so. And this week, stage 2 of this project is we're doing the north-south transects. It is a little bit like battleships, but not knowing if there's an actual battleship there, if you like. But we're having a look-see. At the same time, we're trying to understand the geomorphology, the superficial geology of the site. See if we're right with our model that the archaeology should be quite near the surface.
If I go to get my hard hat out of the car and I stand here long enough, do you think a machine will just show up and do it for me?
No.
Oh.
Have a go.
Do I have to do it for
That's it, okay. And so you need to kind of pull behind.
Exactly.
That's it. That's a good.
We're on a roll now.
Yeah.
We're on a roll, Chris.
Far off now, are we? Try. Yay! Well done.
I've got a pen with me. So it says go down in 2-inch, 5 centimetre chunks, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we clear this and sieve it and then start another one?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Look at this.
Yeah, right. So that's got the orangey colour. He said that was birds, didn't it?
On the other side, look, it's got rings on it. Look.
Potentially. Hasn't it? Well, that's a keeper, I think.
Weighted down with the white
Oh, it's
sand.
burnt.
You got something?
Apparently.
There's a piece of burnt, it could even be worked, but certainly looks to...
So that's a 20 to 25 layer.
Yeah, so if you put a note where the find is, that's F01.
01, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
People lift up the rock.
good-o.
It's a deer phalange from their feet. You drill a hole in it and then you can use it as a whistle. I'm sure you could use it as something else, but they're said to be whistles. So that's the key for tea break. But because everybody is new today, they don't know.
Found in the sieve what we believe to be a bit of pottery with a distinct rim and lip on it.
alongside another piece which was found in the northwest corner of the test pit, which looks possibly of the same sort of era.
Same pot, possibly.
I'm going to leave you to sort that out with Lyndon, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's the
trees.
prize piece of flint from this test pit.
Until they came back 30,000 years ago, this would have been a country landscape.
I haven't looked at it really yet, but that's precisely the sort of stuff we're looking for.
Yeah. You can see the flint's grade into this nice translucent material. So this is just an outer flake, probably dressing down, dressing a nodule.
Teamwork.
It was right on the edge as well, a centimetre that way. You would have missed it entirely, wouldn't you? That's the nature of archaeology, I suppose.
This is probably our best find because it was spotted in situ, i.e. in position, by Colin and Christine. Well done. So Paul gets the prize for the prehistoric pot, you get the prize for the flint in situ. So far, we've still got some time to go. Multi-purpose board.
That's it. Is that going to be any better?
That's fantastic.
It's nearly midday, so.
What was it? Oh wow. Very nice. Just amazed that you're getting anything that is potentially in situ down here, but I mean, is there any
pieces were all from fairly high up in the profile. We've only gone down 50 centimetres.
Oh yeah.
And I think they're all within top 20 centimetres.
Because this looks sort of quite a decent sort of retouched piece, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And truncation and I don't know, would you go so far as to say, I mean, it's certainly got damage there that looks like this might have been functioned as a piercer or something.
Yeah. We've got some micro piercers like that.
You do, don't you?
Bradgate,
Yes,
so,
yes.
Which by itself you might think, they look a little bit Mesolithic, but no, we've got
from here
we've got small blades.
Yeah.
Bladelets.
Did you more or less divide this into two? Was that right? I think something like that, or is that? Or do you think it's all more the same?
It was powdery for quite a long time, and
Yeah.
then
It got less powdery. But you didn't get any distinct changes, did it? Just
apart
sort of
from
one
that
grade.
greyish bit.
This is going to be at a 1 to 10 scale.
So we want to measure it
30, please.
30. I'd say that's 45.
Spot on.
20.
Spot on, that's
Whoa,
it.
look at
now,
Yeah.
if you draw a line that goes like that.
It's the top slightly sandy stuff that I'm interested in.
So we're trying to take a little segment out, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what sort of amount? Are we filling that up, did you say?
Fair amount, I think.
Okay, do you want to just measure that?
Yeah.
Pop that in.
I am told that you can damage your back with this. It's important to turn the thing using your knees and your legs and keep your back straight, and that minimises the chance of you damaging your back. If you've got dodgy knees, I suppose you've got a problem. get someone else to do it.
If you've got a dodgy back with dodgy knees, I think you've got a real
I actually found it easier to walk around with it,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and then pull it out. So we've gone down now, I suppose, about 10-12 centimetres. We've hit a rock, we can't get it down any further, so I'm afraid that's the end of our practical augering for today.
Well, yes, just a tiny bit more and you're there. You're up to 30 then. Bored a nice hole through a rock. About the limit. I think you're down to 30 there.
Okay.
If you try and lay it out horizontally, perhaps I can get it out better then.
This is what's known as a GeoMax, GNSS. It's a Global Navigation Satellite System. We're accurate to about 3mm horizontally and 3mm vertically. Here, because we're in the bowl and because the phone connection isn't that good here, we're accurate to about 10mm. So what we're doing today is we're doing a combination of things. We're plotting all the pits in here, where your excavations are, but we're also, you'll see us walking along, we can do transect, so we can, just with the system set on automatic, we can walk across, it will give us a continuous, every 2 seconds reading, and that gives us very long transects which we can do up and down, so we can get topographic surveys done as well.
Right, should I just go for it?
I think just, yeah, sprinkle it around. No, what they did you don't have to worry about that bit.
There was a chance we'd find nothing, so we were actually pleased. We found some real worked flint in the test pits.
So in the greater scheme of things, Nick, how important is this site for the late Upper Paleolithic?
Absolutely. I mean, it's probably one of only 5 sites of this kind.
Wow.
And it's a very large site, and it occupies a very, very interesting position. And of course, it's relatively close to the Creswell Crags cave sites. So, in many ways, this really is a flagship site. Certainly, I think it's sort of one of the the most important Upper Paleolithic sites in the country, and probably on a par with 1 or 2 sites on the continent. So it's a very important site.
No, what paid it for my cinema, not for you.